My best friend asks me, "Did you hear about your brother?" I replied, "My brother's dead." Kyla froze in her seat, hands trembling as she pressed them to her gaping mouth. Tears filled her eyes and she sniffed. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. I stared at her, surprised at the emotion on her face. "He's been dead for 10 years, since I was 8 years old. She was at his funeral with me. We buried an empty casket because no one could find his body in the fire that burned our house down. I didn't understand why she brought him up. What are you talking about?" I asked slowly. She shook her head frantically. "Nothing. I misspoke, that's all." My eyes narrowed at my best friend as emotion filled me. "Tell me," I insisted. "Ask your parents," she answered. "I have to go." Her tears began falling as she gathered her purse and rushed out of the fast food joint where we were meeting, leaving me with a bill. I paid for the food and headed home, my thoughts racing a million miles an hour. I had no idea what she was talking about, and it scared me. He was my twin brother, and I loved him dearly. It broke me when he died. I had lost my best friend. Kyla was there to pick up the pieces after my parents grew cold and distant. I arrived home and found my parents in the kitchen. Mom was humming and baking cookies while Dad sat at the kitchen table reading on his tablet. They both ignored me until I cleared my throat loudly. Mom turned to face me, forcing a bright smile on her face. It looked so unnatural that I nearly snorted. I glanced between them. "What happened to my brother?" I asked quietly, watching them closely. I noticed that Mom instantly paled and Dad's expression closed off, becoming colder. Mom turned her back on me, returning to her task at the stove. Dad just stared at me, eyes going blank as he got lost in thought. Something was very wrong here, and I needed to know what it was. "Kyla mentioned something at lunch today," I continued. "Tell me the truth. Is he really dead?" Mom laughed without turning to face me. "Of course he is, honey," she said, but the tone of her voice was off, almost robotic. I glanced at Dad, noticing how he ducked his head, avoiding eye contact with me. This was starting to piss me off. They were obviously lying to me and I didn't understand it. I slammed my fist down on the kitchen table, startling them. "Tell me the truth," I shouted. Mom finally spun around to face me, tears dripping down her ghostly white cheeks. "I am," she said coldly, glaring at me. "He's dead to us." I gasped and took a step back, unwilling to believe this. A sob escaped and my hands started to shake at my sides. "He's alive?" I whispered. "Leave it alone," Dad said sternly. "You don't need to open that can of worms. We washed our hands of him a long time ago. He died in that fire, and that's where he's going to stay." Then he turned back to his tablet as if he didn't just rock my entire world. "My twin brother was alive. He never died in that fire. We had a funeral for no reason. For what purpose? To make their lie believable?" I was furious. My hands balled into fists and I took a step forward. "Tell me what happened," I ordered in a calm voice, proud of my voice for not shaking like the rest of my body. My parents exchanged a glance before Mom sighed and took a seat at the table, keeping her eyes down. "What do you remember about that fire?" she asked. I shrugged. "Nothing. I was asleep when it happened." She sighed. "Your brother was the one who started the fire," she explained. "He set it on purpose. We didn't know why, but after we were told it was arson, we knew it was him. They found evidence that pointed to him." I shook my head quickly. "That can't be right. He was such a sweet kid." Mom shrugged. "We don't know what changed." I glared at her. "So you just turned your back on him?" "Of course not," Mom snapped. "But we couldn't ignore the fact that he almost killed us, and he would have if I hadn't woken up to the smoke. Anyways, we had to do something, so we sent him away to boarding school for the past 10 years. A special boarding school that deals with kids with behavioral problems." "And told me he was dead," I muttered. I shook my head at them. "I can't believe you kept this from me." I left them after hearing that story, and got in touch with Kyla, who was in touch with my brother, Ned. It took a few visits before I was able to get back into my brother's life. My parents didn't approve of our relationship, but after hearing the lengths they went to keep him away from us, my relationship with my parents never recovered.